Pretty cool day. Bitcoin 70,000. DJT up 25% to 47. Next to Mara, which means the water in Latin. Fun fact. GameStop next to it. 10.19%. 10.19%. And of course, PayPal looking good. SoundHound looking good. Yeah, I thought this would be a party day. I mean, I hardly have time for Love Sack. There's a lot to get into, but what a fun day. Is it okay to have fun? You know what's interesting? I asked myself, is it okay to have fun right now? And I was like, there's actually some charts I can look at that will let me know if I can have fun right now. I think the Russell 2000 wants to have fun. Don't forget the value. The Royce Value Trust, outperforming the Russell on every time frame. An ABC correction, 1, 2, 3, highest high on the RSI, shallow wave 4, wave 5. There might be more time to have fun. From this low, 1, 2, wave 3. You guys know bar charts been giving me trouble. Some of the charts I can use, some of them I can't. You know, I didn't study computer science. Speaking of computer science, you know, the Russell until RVT hits 24. Have fun until RVT hits 24. Could it be possible to have fun until IWM hits 300? So many fun topics. And who talks about these topics every day? CNBC and Fox Business, they need a valiant competitor. I think the pups can do it. I think that this can be done. I can do half, you know, the news and the fun part and the occult. That's gonna get everyone's attention every day, bring in new people. And the other half, I can be the best technical analyst, best quant in the world. Show everyone how I get to make. I don't make jack from this. I get to do this. And this is really part of the research process. I tell people, and I'm serious about it, it's no different than filming a baseball swing. It's no different than watching film in football or any sport. Why they do that. Actors and actresses watching film of themselves. The Russell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wave 1, ABC wave 2. For IWM, the length of wave 1 placed at the wave 2 low. Could we be seeing the Russell go up to 300 and from this low, wave 1, wave 2? By the way, I did predict 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wave 1, wave 2 to see this big thrust higher. I said, and this big thrust higher even, the subdivision is there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wave 3 makes the highest high on the RSI. Shallow wave 4. Wave 5 ends with Momo. Pointed that out too, again. And the 1, 2 is still there. It looks like an impulse, and even from this low. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A very clean 5 waves. The market, like, that's what's so beautiful about the market. I can say, like, can I have fun right now? And that's not some rhetorical question. I'm going to go, like, look at charts and be like, can I have fun? Might be time to have fun. Because this is the leverage version of the Russell 2000. I don't trade leverage. People freak out when I talk about leverage. I use these ETFs for forecasting purposes. We'll talk about exactly why I do that right now. Looking at the ETF unusual options volume, it's going to be, retail has all of these rules. Then people look at the unusual ETF options volume screen and they see that The MMs don't obey any of them. They have a completely different set of rules. They don't ignore any of those retail rules. Look at this. Buying calls, unusual calls, 665 calls bought on a triple leverage juiced ETF. Lots of decay, 220%. And this is a real cowboy. And this is a good amount of money, not the most amount of contracts. No hedge, right? It's a leverage. It's a double juiced ETF. We see he buys them, she buys them, they, them. I think we're moving away. I feel like oh, look at this. Before I get into that little trap. 500 times 285. That's his big bet. That wasn't there. I couldn't see that intraday. Yeah, look at that big 500 contract bet for $285 a contract. I'm sure that's a lot of money when those numbers are multiplied together. So that's the double leverage version. For the sake of time, I'm just going to show the triple leverage version ETF. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wave 1, wave A. But isn't that a pretty clear indicator of big money sentiment for the Russell? And that's clearly just a big institution putting 500 contracts. Or maybe it's just some really rich dude. But a wave 1, wave A, ABC, wave 2, wave B, and then from the slow, 1, 2, wave 3 of wave 3 being entered above 37.54. There could be a long time new highs for this leveraged ETF potentially, and that sounds like a lot of fun. And also, what that also sounds like is it sounds like fitting in very much with the TLT, the rate crash. Can rate crashes be fun? Could this be scary? I've heard people. I saw an interesting take. I posted about it. I saw an interesting take that these bonds going up, this yield crash actually isn't good. And you know me, I thought about that. Are there some small cap stocks in the healthcare sector, in some of the cloud computing sectors that have their special fundamentals, cybersecurity, staying home? Is that possible? We'll see. Should this be scary? Maybe I shouldn't be having fun. Maybe someone suggested that this bond crash is actually going to be scary that I've talked about. I'm just saying that it fits in with this guy's bull bet and my forecast on the Russell 2000. So, as always, my positioning in markets is based on this analysis. I won't get into everything that I own that's based on the Russell 2000 going up in this video. This is the CLOU ETF, the cloud computing ETF. It caught my eye. I can't label this ABC correction because of those brainiacs at bar chart. You know, making all these new things. They're like the new retail investor that thinks just because something's new and shiny, they buy it at the IPO. Really, it's about wait a year and a half like Palantir. Just kidding. It's more like 3 years like Snapchat. Ayo, anyway. Snapchat, Zoom, Peloton. Not every small cap stock. Some of these cloud computing stocks, right? Not every small cap stock is fun. Some of those biotechs, I talk about co-diagnostics every 5 minutes. I dream about it every night. NEO, that stock, I don't even know what that one does. That should be the biggest proof that Elliott wave exists, is when a stock that there's no way I know what it does exactly what I say. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves leading diagonal for the ETF CLOU and a wave 2 correction. I like it above 17.79. This wave 2's ended. This is a wave 1 and a wave 2, and we can see a wave 3 to the upper 20s begin for that ETF. So that's how I'm going to include it. Here is Alibaba. I've talked about MCHI and I've charted MCHI and KWeb. Alibaba, wave 1, ABC, wave 2, and then very impulsive from the slow. 1, 2, 1, 2, exactly as I said. Wave 3 of wave 3 is entered. It goes past the 161.8% extension, and look at right here on the RSI. Here's a little trick. In Elliott wave 5 ends with momentum divergence, so there's this very clear signal that this is a wave 3. Big thrust going past the 161.8% extension, and it makes the highest high in the RSI. What I'm getting at is because in Elliott wave 5 ends with momentum divergence, we can see there's no momentum divergence within this entire cycle. This is the newest high on the RSI. What that suggests is that this isn't a wave 5, it is, as it quite clearly looks to be, a big wave 3. This is the shallow wave 4 correction, and at minimum, a new high is going to be made for wave 5. That's right, as I like to always say, I can't tell my broker at minimum a wave 5 new high is going to be made because we don't have momentum divergence, but this is what I'm looking for Alibaba. I think it's going to turn around. I am going to buy Babo, B-A-B-O. I own KLIP. I've owned that for a long time. I've gone through back testing on those, but I'm going to buy Babo before the next Yield Max ex-dividend date. I think that's in about 2 weeks, maybe a week or so. And I'm going to buy Babo. And I also already own Alibaba. So I'm going to keep selling options on these big tech ETFs. I own Alibaba from about the 160 level, 165 level. I've sold options on covered calls on KWeb for a very long time through Clip. And so now I'm going to keep doing that through the out-of-the-money synthetic covered call strategy on Babo. I'm initiating new positions, and I'm very excited about it. So that's Alibaba. I'm going to buy Babo, keep holding Alibaba, and if it keeps going up, I should probably average down that position on the Collins as well, because Alibaba is kind of an all-around stock for China. There's just a very little debate with Chinese stocks if American investors actually own the underlying. It can be a little unfortunate that we have to worry about stuff like that, but it is part of investing if Americans actually own the Chinese portion of these ADRs in China. Some people say they don't really, of course. Let's look at some unusual options volume. We had Lovesac on this list. We're going to go through the stocks. We went through some ETFs. Now we're going to go through some stocks. My preferred screen is to go to sort by the lowest put to call volume ratio. Then refresh. And then sort this screen by the highest 1 month volume change. CYH Lovesac, 392% unusual options volume for Lovesac, 98% call bias, 603% unusual for Community Health. We're going to go over that one. 99% unusual options volume. And then Denison Mines, not very unusual, 18,000. We'll see if we get into that. I've talked about a lot of uranium stocks. I think that Denison Mines might be one of the, it's not really a laggard, but it looks like it's still got some upside with uranium, or UUUU. Take a shot every time I call it uranium fuels. Anyway, let's see. Let's look at some of these stocks. Let's talk about Lovesac. Big positions from Lovesac. Let's get into the Elliott wave first, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wave 1, A, B, C, wave 2, and then I connect these time fibs on the monthly. This is the start, this is the end. Starting at the beginning of wave 1, wave A, this is the end of wave 1, wave A. That's how the one time fib is found, 2, and then right there, the 3-month time fib, perfect. Bottom for the 3, and now look, wave 3, wave C, going into the 5 time fib. I'm looking for this to be completed through February of 2026. Could be a substantial rally that takes Lovesac up into the upper 90s. I'm going to delete this because that's the old stop. We're significantly higher today, 7% up. Let's look what they bought. I mean, they bought a lot. This is a good amount of money, and it's very aggressive on Lovesac, so it does look like it's going to enter wave 3, wave C. Yeah, 3,582 contracts at $210 a piece at the money for November. That's very expensive, and then out of the money for December 20th. That December quad wishing, very overlooked and honestly not the most important typically. Really, 2018, that bottom was the most important. And then 2022, it was part of a top. So I usually, the December quad witching, I just pair with the January expiration. The January expiration for the 17th to 20th, the third week of January to the December quad witching. That's just kind of that I make it one big quad witching because the December quad witching isn't that important because it's through all that holiday period. Anyway, lots of money spent, very aggressive on the Love Sack company. The Elliott Wave, I think, suggests why. Going well. Community health. We'll get into the Elliott Wave. This was an interesting chart. Even just the long term. To So what I'm showing is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves for wave one. I can't label an A, B, C. Wave two, and then this is wave one and wave two from this low. Now what I'm gonna do, so what I'm thinking with both of these is the 3 of 3 forming on both time frames. So that's what this looks like on the big picture. I'm gonna zoom into the small picture now actually. We see a small nest forming from this low. And then from this low, I'm not going to call this wave 3. I don't think that would be right. I think this is actually another wave 1 forming with a pretty clear subdivision. So there we go. That's this wave 2. Now looking at this, I should have done the fib retracements before, but the one good thing about this bar chart update, it looks like it gets these levels pretty clean. So I'm looking for 3.32 to invalidate that 78.6% retracement, and I'm actually going to look for this to get aggressive on basically every time frame that I've shown. Let's see what this person bought and see if their Elliott wave there is too above 3.32. We definitely need to see what they bought on this. 600 something unusual options volume. Yeah, so we see a lot for these Januaries. Look at this. They were all for the March quad witching. Look at these huge contracts. 10,000 for 50. That's $500,000, and then 12,000 for 20. Tack another 400,000 onto that. We're looking at almost $1 million right there for community health. A very clear expectation. That's pretty blatant right there. Let's see if they're doing Elliott Wave. And then the last one for this video, we're going to do Denison Mines. It didn't have the most unusual options volume, but it does look like it's following URA. I've covered URA. It looks like a leading indicator. if I had known that this is what Denison Mines looks like, I probably wouldn't have included it. But just zooming out a little bit, I think what is interesting about Denison Mines is it's showing kind of in Elliott Wave we have multiple degrees at play. Denison Mines is a good example of how this could be a more long-term nature for the laggards. CCJ was the big time leader in this sector. It's really already had, or I think it's already had its huge rally. It might have more. But most of the uranium stocks have severely lagged CCJ. And looking at Denison Mines, we can see that there are two series of 1-2, 1-2 at play, supporting the idea of a wave 3 of wave 3. It's really just a more long-term nature view. We've already seen URA break this high. I suspect very likely that Denison Mines is going to break it as well. And so Denison Mines is going to be the uranium stock for this video. Looks like it's pretty likely gonna follow this, and we're gonna see uranium keep going and rallying. Ultimately, if I'm right about this 5-wave sequence forming, we can see URA head up to the upper 40s and stop at the 38th level along the way.